You're thinking about that.
I'm thinking about, you mean like your dick pic, not to share
Yeah,
with
yeah,
people?
yeah, yeah. Like don't expose myself on live streams, right? That's generally this is live.
Ah, okay. Oh, and by the way, we're live.
Oh,
Uh, hello, my friends. Operator Starsky here, and today, like without all kinds of intros and stuff, we decided to just try if I can even stream here in Germany. And tonight I'm joined with my bro, Brandon Mitchell. I'm sure you know him, and if you don't, please check out the link in the description. And guys, please let me know uh, if you can see and hear me well, because I'm not sure if all this is even work. Uh, Brandon, say hello to our viewers.
hello everyone. I understand that Lisa is in the audience. I just want to say hello, Lisa. I hope you're well. I'm well.
Yeah, great. So, guys, today is Friday, and we decided to make usual Friday chill out. And I decided to remind myself how to stream on the first place. And all right, I can see your sound too low. I don't know how to do. Okay, I will talk like this if it's better. I tried to improve it. It's because I'm stupid. It's because I had to.
Yes,
I,
of
I, I
course.
had to I had to reconnect a bit. Um, okay, okay. First of all, Brandon, uh, tell me this. This is very very important. How's Masa?
Masa, come nu. Come, hold on. I don't know if you take super chats here, but I can get you $20 pretty quick here with some dog treats.
Oh,
Masa, come to Papa. She's being a little bit stroppy here. 1 second. Oh,
oh
mm.
my God, she's
Yeah,
fluffy.
yeah. She's the fluffy one. She's going to get small here very soon. But it snowed today, and the gods are punishing us here in Sweden for something, probably for not sending enough aid to Ukraine fast enough. Um, and we're going to wait till the weather warms up. It's been absolutely horrible. You go leg there. Yeah, she's had some extensive ball action this evening, so we're just going to let her rest.
Yeah. Uh, how old is she?
She's 4.5 years old. Is this the questions you're getting there?
Yeah. Okay. Third question is very very important. Um, can we recruit Lindy Beige for our Gigolo calendar?
Okay, okay, that is a very sensitive thing. Lloyd is a very brilliant man, but he's a very particular man. He's also a dance instructor for Lindy Hop, so I think he's got quite a busy dance card as it is. But let me broach the subject with him. Anything
Yeah.
is possible. It's unlikely, but it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because we already recruited like Pasha, Max, me, you, also Fudge.
Got
Uh,
Archer Leahy. Who else have we got? I've got three guys from 35 Brigade. They're down with it as well. They signed their contract. Their English isn't very good, but that didn't stop them on February 24th from signing either. You know,
yeah.
uh,
Uh, we gotta sign up somebody else. Ragnar.
he looks pretty good for an old guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. And now let's talk about more boring things, but still very important. What is your situation right now? What are you working on at this point?
Right now, personally, I'm studying. I'm studying an NHS program, the National Health Service in the UK. Um, they have block programs to study to be an emergency medical technician, paramedic assistant, to paramedic. Um, I'm doing a lot of self-study, physiology. That was not fun. And now I'm working through a protocol, a practice guideline book. And I go back to school in England in 2 weeks for another 2 weeks on a block. And then I have to prepare my studies again for the next block. It's that's what I do half the time, and I'm working for an NGO in Sweden called Quartermaster for Ukraine. Last week, sent 1,000 IFACs that I packed. Combat lifesaver bags. That was a very big project. That was like my little baby, so to speak. There is a project from Kiev called Pre-Power that takes medics from all over the army, National Guard as well, and they actually had a tour in Spain, 25 National Guard medics that they just got back from. So far they brought 400 to Sweden, and on the last one, we were able to give them 110 combat lifesaver bags that were worth about $1,200, between $1,000 to $1,200, and they invited me to stay because there was lots of different presentations, and I'm me, and I can kind of blag my way through in Surgic, and I knew a few people who were already there from 35 and 36 Brigade, so that's a great project, and we're getting ready to support the next one again. That's not small, to prepare for. That's not small on their part to bring 100 doctors, combat medics, felchers, all these people to bring them here. Some of them have had physical wounds, many psychological wounds, and basically their whole job here to do is to chill for like 8 days. It's a really, really cool program that we got involved with here in Sweden, and now it's expanding to Spain.
This is so awesome. And regarding the IFACs, do you work with Ministry of Defense or specific brigades or people you know personally?
Well, Quartermaster for Ukraine, a lot of the money it's all private money. If I can speak quite freely, the 90% of that money came from a very small select wealthy individuals in Sweden who choose to remain anonymous. They employ myself here and a girl by the name of Tilda, who's quite well known in Donbass, who works solely with mostly Donbass brigades, and she keeps in close contact, and she's kind of a bridge between Swedish goodwill and directly to the units, and we provide everything from clothing, sometimes boots, sometimes drones, but also a lot of other people in Sweden will relay their supplies and their funds through her. I'm just working here on the back end to try to improve some things. I don't really have to work that hard, to be honest, because when it comes time to do the physical work, there's so many people that are willing to volunteer, like have packing parties, like let's pack 1,000 IFACs today. But I've been able to work on the procurement, to go meet some quote unquote VIPs, things like this. And we're looking to step it up in the next couple of months. I don't know when I'll return to Ukraine. I have some health problems and some other issues, but one of my goals is to really leave them better off than when I came. We're doing well. We're doing well.
Yeah, bro. Well, in the end, we all fight wherever we can and with whatever we can. And if people want to help your organization or support you in any possible way, what can they do?
Well, as far as me personally, with my platform, it's business as usual. I'm currently purchasing my fourth truck since I've been back since New Year's. So that's 3 Nissan Patrols. I'm quite fond of those. Hilux. And to be honest, I do a lot of cash transfers, like Privatbank ones, to people in Ukraine that I've worked with. Whenever they need things, just send me photos and videos of what you bought. So that's never going to end, and nor have I been discouraged from doing that, nor would I ever surrender my autonomy. But I do think it's particularly good because I know you have a Swedish following. I do. I believe Swedes should support Swedes. Germans should support Germans. You should speak your own language. I will get you the details for Quartermaster for Ukraine. Maybe Ali can find them on our Instagram, and it's a big thing in Sweden. The Förening, if you have Swedes watching, Quartermaster for Ukraine Swish has now been approved. A company Swish, that's like the equivalent to card transfers. But Sweden's very bureaucratic, so now the organization can accept retail donations, as it were. Before it was all privately funded by a very few well-off individuals, but now we are accepting public support. So maybe if Ali's there, she could tag their Instagram. I know she follows them.
Yeah, I really hope so.
I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, bro.
I don't want to lose my supporters either, but I'm always telling people, support this guy, support that guy. Yeah, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Here's another option for you. Quartermaster is fantastic.
That's what I do since 2022. That's the reason why I'm making all those videos with you guys. And
without you,
also we have a lot of people in Ukraine, a lot of people from other countries, which, by the way, were one of the reasons why I decided to make daily, not so much daily, unfortunately, but frequent updates from Ukraine, because Russians constantly strike Ukrainian cities. And by the way, just a while ago, I received another alert. There were ballistic strikes all around Ukrainian cities, unfortunately. And today, 3 hospitals were evacuated in Kiev because Russians basically announced strikes on Ukrainian hospitals. 2 of them are skin disease hospitals, and one is pediatric clinic. So Russians basically announced strikes on those hospitals. They said that there were like military and things like that, and because we know that Russians deliberately strike objects like that, today those hospitals were evacuated together with patients as well as doctors. You can see people being moved to other places. Of course, there were no military. We know that people were scared because they were afraid of Russians hitting these places. And do you follow the news and updates from your friends on the ground?
Well, I kind of have my own way of keeping my mental health, and we keep our lives very much to our lives, and I don't want to. This is a bit embarrassing, but when the aid package came out that night, a couple people we messaged back and forth. You know, that's an existential issue, but other people talked. Like one of my best friends, Yaroslava, from Third Assault, she didn't mention that at all. She just sent me a meme about a Sphinx cat, the cats with no hair, because she knows it torments me to no end, a cat without hair. That's kind of how we keep in contact. A lot of times it's just, if I can be honest, I've got about 20 people in Ukraine. Our meme game is pretty good. The memes are really good, and that's, to be honest with you, except for work, like I'm trying to buy a car, it's going to be there this day. Can you paint it? Can you repair it? Can you, other than work, 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 we don't communicate other than memes, but we communicate very regularly. Um, I just want to know that everybody's okay. Um, sadly, people. This doesn't really dawn on people. Um, some of the Swedish organizations who help Ukraine, who the individuals have never been there, would have had a privilege to meet these medics that were here with the last Repower rehab. And one of the medics, a lovely boy who could speak a bit of English, so of course they're going to remember him. He'll never walk again. Within a week, with a week of getting back to, I can never say it right, Serbianki Forst. So that's one of my friends who's had a life-changing injury. But I'm very grateful. I guess I'm lucky. Most people I know are okay.
This is good. This is so good to know, bro, and I'm really happy to know that as well. And by the way, here we have a message. Igor Tkachov released a nice video today showing a car you gave them. Did you have a chance to see that video?
No, I didn't. Actually, the last time I talked to Igor was a meme. I sent him I've got this meme going around now about like don't buy new underwear before you buy a new phone. So I've been hitting everyone with that. He didn't mention that. Igor's a great guy. He's from Poltava. He's in Hospitalieri, and we worked together for a couple of months. He does fantastic work with his camera and documentaries. He released one working in Touretsk. I think it has about 100,000 views now, which is not enough. Some people in your audience would have watched it, like I know Ali would have, and some people were sick to their stomach. I don't even know why YouTube allowed it to stay up, but thank God they did. I would encourage anybody to look at their work. The truck was donated to me by Sweden. The same week, one of the boys that I came in early March 2022, Nico died in November 2022. And I was given that truck that same week. And from a Swedish organization, when my Swedish friend died, and Igor works with Paulina, and Paulina was on the same crew with Nico when he died. So that was the Nico truck. It's been through everything in Donbass, but I probably put about $7,000 into that truck, probably more than you normally would. That runs perfect. That's theirs. That's a big thing about hospitaller teams. If we fundraise for our own vehicles, you never have to worry about command taking it for more important needs. The equipages are given autonomy. Like if you can fundraise for your own equipment, it will never be taken. Which it's nice when you're working in your own rig to know that everything is the way you want it to be. So that's Pauline and Igor's truck. That's not only Igor's. It's not good to be emotional over cars, especially in Donbass. But that's a special truck, special people.
I agree on that because in Donbass, cars are they're disposable basically. And bro, can you say a couple of words about Hospitalieri, this organization, what they do on the front, and why it's important? I can tell that as well, but I'm sure that you can tell more than me.
Yana Zinkovich, in Ukraine, she can be a controversial person. In all honesty, she by last year, Forbes magazine ranked her in the 100 most influential women of the world, which is kind of cool. She's a member of parliament in Ukraine, and she's our commanding officer. And she joined UDA, the Ukrainsky Dobrovolcha Armia, in 2022 or 2014. and she served as a combat medic. And she believed that if she could survive the ordeals that they were in, she would find a way to create a medical battalion, because Ukrainian Army Medical has come a long way since 2014. It's come a long way since 2022. But this young woman, this 18-year-old woman who was wounded in 2015, left in a wheelchair, paralyzed, she managed to form a battalion, a volunteer battalion of all unpaid people within UDA, doctors, drivers. There were people of all medical backgrounds that could come and could serve in the war and then go back to civilian life, work 1 month, come back 1 month. And up until last year, our battalion was even open to foreigners as well. But unfortunately, that's not possible anymore. And I'm mentioning that now because maybe some people will hear and stop messaging me. I'm not the recruiter. It's for all the flaws and the good and the bad we have, like everybody does in Ukraine. We have a commander who is benevolent and looks after her people and their welfare. And some of our teams are fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, as the reality is in Ukraine, not everyone can afford to work for free all the time. From 2022 on, some of our best people signed contracts in the army, and they no longer have volunteer status. But our battalion does very well. It's constantly evolving. There is many problems in Ukraine. One of the things that I think is the most fantastic contribution that we have in the war is a critical care bus, codenamed Austria. And that bus will travel from Donbass to Dnipro every day, and we can handle the most critical casualties. The bus costed over $1 million, and that just runs. And that was completely funded by donations. And to my knowledge, nothing in the armed forces of Ukraine, as it is, has that capability of what that bus and the doctors that we have there. That's besides all the outside glory of a combat medic or working a 300 point. I think that's our greatest contribution to the war. Just the pure capabilities that we're providing higher end care for critical transports.
Bro, we have several guests here. We have Ukraine Matters. Hi, Georgie. And we also have our bro Rick the Ukrainian. And Rick asks, may you please ask Brandon about Avstrika evacuation bus? Avstrika?
Yeah, Avstrika. We originally, it started in the summer of 2022 that we would try critical transports. One of our buses was involved with a collision in the dark with a BMP, which is very common. Many people were injured on this bus, and one of the doctors, a Ukrainian woman who'd lived in Austria for many years, who'd been a great patron to many Ukrainian charities. She was serving on that bus. Her code name was Austria, and she was killed. She was killed on that bus. So it was Yana's mission to build back bigger and stronger. And within 6 months, it would have costed over $1 million to $1.5 million to build a new critical care transport bus that I believe can take up to 10 critical care casualties at once, possibly more. But yeah, that was named after a hospitaller who died in the very first bus we had.
10 people simultaneously. It's amazing.
Yeah, these are these are criticals with airways and breathing issues. These are capabilities that many ambulances wouldn't have. But let alone to be able to go to Kramatorsk, to go to Sloviansk, to go to Druzhkivka, Kostantinivka, to Pokrovsk, and take on mass. That's really something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing because, like, when we're talking about things like evacuation medical BTRs that can carry, I believe, four uh, ambulance, only one person. So basically, one car, one person. Uh, the bus can take like 10. So basically, it's worth 10 ambulance trucks.
It's worth a lot. It's worth a lot, but it's the pure capabilities of the crews in there that we have surgeons on board, that we have anesthesiologists, traumatologists. No, this isn't like my work in a BMP or when I was lucky to get to work in an M113. As cool and as horrifying as that was, um, this is critical care at high end, because that's so important when people think about war. Um, but what happens from what happens further down the line, that can determine the life or death, or the quality of life for that person. Some of those people will even go back to serve again. Some of them might even be leaders in Ukraine in the future. People who serve in this war, so they need to be taken care of.
Do you think military must, can military participate in political life of the country? I mean, not active, like in the active service, but is it good if military participate in political life of the country?
Why not? Winston Churchill was a cavalryman. Eisenhower, who built the Eisenhower interstate system, was General Eisenhower in World War II. There's political precedents. Like him or not, Theodore Roosevelt. These people all come. Ulysses S. Grant. I'm really pulling them out here for the Americans. There's great precedents. People who have a military background. I mean, one of the most, in my opinion, and I don't care what any comment warrior says, one of the most honorable politicians in living memory was John McCain, a Republican, and he was a prisoner of war, I believe, for 5 years. To be able to go through everything that he endured and suffered, and to come through and recover, and the humility. And I have no issue with Obama, but John McCain would have made a fine president indeed. So why not for Ukraine? Those people who volunteered on February 24th are the finest human. Ukraine, being Ukrainian doesn't give you a pass in life. An asshole is an asshole. You know, you know. Okay, yes, we know generally 99% of Russians are evil people, but there's good and bad Ukrainians. But in my opinion, the best human beings in this world were the people who volunteered in that first week. Those are some of the people I want to see have a say for the future. Those are some of the people I'd like to see do business with NATO and the West, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think military makes great managers because I'm
Some of
sorry,
them.
because if you are even a private, okay, if you don't command people, but you learn how to manage your time, you learn how to become more disciplined, you learn how to do time management, which is very important. And when you command people as a commissioned or not commissioned officer, then it's like you know how to do logistics, you know how to do inventorization and things like that. So those guys are already like ready managers,
They're
prepared
developing
and,
their
and
skills.
yeah, prepared and trained. So I can only support that. And we have another message from Rick the Ukrainian, who says, we rollers, his viewers, contributed to the fundraiser for the needs of Ostrivka bus a few times by
Nice.
auctioning the paintings. It's an honor to support this life-saving work. Guys, thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And
Really, these are
and
rolling costs to every month.
Jilke says, please put Lada Niva in the calendar. Uh, we have to find Lada Niva for the calendar and bring it to a photo studio, which is already like Mission Impossible because not sure if it's gonna even start. Speaking of McCain, I think he could be absolutely amazing president, and he was big friend of Ukraine. You know, in the times when politicians, even those that today call to support Ukraine and bring weapons, but back then, 2015, 2016, they were kind of meh, neutral, or like Ukraine, where is it?
He
But
called it what it was.
yeah, yeah, and McCain always supported us, always visited our country, always stood up for Ukraine, and Ukrainian people will always remember him. I think we even have a street in Kiev named after him.
That's cool.
Yeah,
There's a lot to be said for that old-fashioned, old-fashioned pleasantries, decency. It definitely seems in decline nowadays in the political landscape.
yeah, yeah. Hope. Unfortunately, we will not see more of that because people are not getting younger. But still, it would be so cool if we could see more people like McCain uh, speaking for Ukraine.
Yeah, but there's so much talent in your country. Uh, I consider my country that was a big inspiration to me in the first couple of months of the war. That I would see these young people, um, primarily from a medical background, considering where I got my start, and I would meet them, and they had all the potential in the world. Um, some of them had even studied abroad as well, and were working in Ukraine, or they have worked abroad, uh, and they would actually come back to their country when needed. You know, there are exceptions, but there's exceptional people, and that's one of my. I don't think about it too often because it's not helpful in my day to day. But that's an overriding motivation for me. You know, people that are younger than me, that they could see a better future. That maybe if Ukraine had peace and victory on our terms by the time they're my age, imagine what they could do. You know, when they had imagine when they're old and wise and have no hair like you. You know, like that's like no one knows what the future holds. But if we can pull it off, we I think we've got a really bright future with some of the young people in their 20s that I've been exposed to for the past couple of years.
Yeah, we have a commentary. McCain knew exactly who Putin was, and I remember his interview where when he said, "I looked into Putin's eyes and I saw just three letters: KGB." And like it was so cool. He wasn't afraid, to speak the truth, to speak to call things what they are, what they actually are. Uh, why do you think people still hesitate to accept the fact that Putin and his minions are basically terrorists? They are terrorist state. Why do they hesitate to, go all in?
You're asking me.
Well, you live in Europe much more than me, so
I think it's human nature.
that's why your opinion matters.
Well, my opinion matters. I think it's purely human nature in getting through the day. Too often, and I'm no relationship expert by any means, but too often couples leave things unsaid for too long for comfort in the moment. And such is our political climate. People work on terms. So just a hypothetical situation, purely hypothetical. Not that I've ever been in such rooms, but okay, let's say if you were British, okay, who would be interested? What powerful organizations would be interested in helping Ukraine? But first of all, you would have to ask yourself, I'm very sorry, is it in their interest to help Ukraine? Well, in the long term, it is, but people tend not to really think that way. Um, so you would have right away, you would have the British Army, the armed forces, you would have the government, and you would probably have a defense industry like BAE. Okay, so if you would have a meeting with these three organizations and people like Zelensky or perhaps Mr. Zelensky, General Zelensky now, maybe he would meet with these people. Um, Maybe he needs a certain weapon. He needs a specific weapon, but the British government doesn't. BAE doesn't make that one. They don't produce that. So then BAE doesn't want Solution to have that one because the British government won't buy from BAE. Um, this is don't ask me, but I've learned these things. You know, like when you need to learn your audience, you need to ask for what they're willing to give. It's not necessarily what you need, what they're willing to give you. Of course, the British Army wants more money. Of course, they want to continue their interflex. Of course, I don't know if they ever put people in Ukraine, but if they did, they would want all that. They would want all that information. And the government essentially needs to appease their own subsidized defense industry, BAE, and they need to fund the army, which looks good in the public, but somehow they need to look good themselves out of everything they do, so they get a win for another term. So the whole system is, um, it's been happening since the 1950s. I only know British history. I don't know American history, but since the fall of empire, we've traded our governments for the power of markets. And as a result, governments are really quite, people get so upset at them, but they've really castrated themselves. We're the slaves to the markets. And any politician who's ever tried to rein in the markets has failed horribly ever since. So we're no longer nation states of will. It's purely self-interest. I'm not a politician. I would never succeed on a platform to try to change the system for the better. But there's if a politician's worth 4 years in office, well, a corporation, the markets, that's only every 3 months. They work in quarters. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be a negative man. We just got our 61 billion, but we've got a big, big fight left. And it's actually, the fight is just, I have more respect for what you do now than anything, because I realize the fight is actually in our own countries. Um, uh, this is perhaps even an existential question for us. So some people might say, Brandon, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. It is confusing. It's demoralizing. It's cunning and baffling. But if our politicians are only concerned for 4 years, corporations are only concerned for 3 months. Um, uh, I don't say words like Putler. No, he's President Putin, and he's a very, very smart man, and he's not playing for 3 months or 4 years. Um, we will forever be at a disadvantage until we come to terms with this. End of rant.
I absolutely agree with you, bro. A lot of people underestimate Putin's propaganda so much, and his cunningness, is that a word?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, cunningness.
cunningness. Uh, we are
Oh, Putin a
creating.
cunt. So sorry, don't want to get you demonetized.
I don't care. Uh, Yeah, and we had some more comments. Unfortunately, I erased them accidentally. No, they're there. It's really really hard to find. Um, oh my god. Yeah. Another question. Of course, people will support Ukraine if that is their interest. Okay, if they have interest. On the other
Yes.
hand, what kind of interest do they have uh, watching like terrorist federation growing stronger and becoming like crazier every day? Recently, they created a committee that will be censoring books. So books that do not correspond to the agenda will not be published. Uh, they also creating a separate committee that will be censoring computer games. And I believe last year they tried to, I'm not sure if it was implemented already, but they tried to block freaking Steam. Steam games, the platform that sells games, and you can basically buy whatever game you like. Um, it's insane. What is people's interest in seeing strong terrorist state like Russian Federation?
I honestly don't know. It's quite, to be honest with you, I'm quite ashamed. I'm I'm really I'm really quite ashamed that I'm not a flat earther. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a tinfoil hat person. But uh, I haven't been to my home country in a long time. But if I was to talk to people in my hometown, I because being a Ukraine supporter, being a Ukraine, let alone a Ukraine veteran, I would some people would look at me like what's wrong with you? Do you understand? And I don't mean many people have had who write to you, who write to me, who support us every week, who wrote their congressman, who wrote Mike Fuckface Johnson. Thank you guys for that. Like I don't know how many thousands of Americans would have written to their congressman. Like uh, a lot of that's from our collective YouTube communities. Um, you know, thank you, but how many people have their family members said, "Oh, Ukraine, are you still on about that?" Um, it takes a lot of empathy to try to understand the struggles of others, um, to try to really understand something that essentially does not affect you every day, Ali, in Arizona. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you have family and stuff, but if you wanted to, if you for any reason, if you wanted to just pull the blinds over, if it became too much, I, you could do that. But there's thousands of people who watch this stream who choose not to do that, who choose to be educated, and who have tried everything. Sadly, most people in the world are not like this. Um, there's people in Ukraine who are not like this, and I don't think we need to lie about that, because I think anybody who's still here, they made a choice for themselves, and that was a very personal choice, and they don't have to explain that to anybody, nor would they ever understood if they needed to explain to them. Um, I don't understand this. I don't understand this, Starsky. But I have some ideas how we might be able to help and improve the situation.
I would love to hear your ideas if you can share them here.
Well, the almighty algorithm, it feeds you what you want to see every day, and so many people, they discount terrestrial television. Um, I did a podcast with a man by the name of Peter Mansbridge from Canada. If you have Canadian viewers, they will know who Peter Mansbridge is. Um, and that was a great honor, and I talked to him. Um, one of his He was like the voice of Canadian news for 30 years. Okay, his voice is iconic. Um, that his podcast is actually listened to by over 100,000 people a day. That's quite good for Canada, and they can talk in depth. One of his most viewed episodes and shared was about disinformation and misinformation, and I thought it was so brilliant because I thought about what you do, what you do, debunking Russian propaganda. This is something that you do, but you're essentially what you do on YouTube. You will grow an audience, but very slowly, and you still do. But you're preaching to the converted. Okay, you're preaching to we don't need this message. We do. We need to keep hearing it. But the people who need to hear it won't hear it. And I thought to myself, well, Peter Mansbridge, he comes from the news, from an era when people trusted the news. He's even talked about how the news profession used to be one of the most trusted, like in the medical field. It is not now for some reason or another, but a lot of people in Canada trust him. And the fact that people from anywhere from his main listenership would go from 40 to 70, but that they were fascinated with that. And he talked about it purely from a Canadian perspective, because Canadians have a funny thing. They need to hear things in the Canadian perspective. Americans definitely need to hear things in an American perspective in general. But I thought to myself, how could we educate people about misinformation and disinformation? And how could we do it in a way that didn't offend themselves? There's something called juxtaposition. If you're familiar with the term, when you learn new knowledge that conflicts with your old knowledge, and this gets people killed in Ukraine every day. Okay, it's human nature. There's a lot of juxtaposition. There's juxtaposition with our commanders. There's juxtaposition with foreign aid. There's juxtaposition in every aspect of life. But how could we do it? Like if we were to do mainstream TV, a lot of people still watch it. I thought about Britain. It's a country I know well. You couldn't do it on the BBC, as the British Broadcasting Corporation, if you're to the right, it's the biased broadcasting corporation. So what if you went to ITV, the other network? They don't get, ITV doesn't really get slandered like Times Radio, read the comments, full of Russian bots, full of people influenced by Russian bots, the Telegraph, and to be fair, their clickbait titles don't do us any help either. Like if you read every Times Radio when Putin's going to fall next month, it's not helping us. But if we could pick a neutral ground and educate people on, just purely educate them on misinformation and disinformation. But if you were a British audience, I wouldn't talk about Brexit. I would talk about the American political landscape because they're removed from it. If I was to do one in America, I certainly wouldn't talk about Democrats and Republicans, because then you're going to get minds will shut. But if we can somehow use foreign examples or things that don't cut so, because that's the problem. Everybody takes everything so damn personal. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know I get in my YouTube comments, someone said, Brandon, you need to get on testosterone replacement therapy. You'll feel great. And I think to myself, like, if you walked up to me in normal life and said that, I'd knock you out. But it's my YouTube channel. Like, roast Brandon, roast me more. It's good for the algorithm. You know, be kind to them, Ali. But people take things so damn personally. They really do. So I don't know how you would do this. There's no neutral ground on the internet. Sadly to say, there is no neutral ground. If you're going to universities, they're already aware of it. But universities tend to be one form of leaning. But terrestrial television, there's certain networks that are still sacred neutral ground. And you would know more about this than me, but I would help you in any way I could. But there's, sadly to say, there's no neutral ground on the internet. And just to merely educate people about misinformation and disinformation and leave it there. Just plant it in their heads, and then not necessarily trying to push, dare I say, a Ukraine narrative. a Russian narrative, a Trump narrative, a Biden narrative. Canada is so fractured and torn apart now. A Trudeau narrative, a Polyev narrative. But if somebody could do it somehow, this is what we need to educate people on. It should there should be curriculum in high schools about misinformation, disinformation, what they used to call critical thinking. But yeah, I don't know how we're going to accomplish that, Starsky. But I think in the next 10 to 20 years of our lives, we're seeing a snowball effect. Our society is
Absolutely.
not benefiting.
Absolutely. You know, recently I watched a video of Skabeyeva, Russian propagandist. She had she was giving a master class on propaganda, basically, to Russian journalists. And she said that it's not what you are saying, but it's how you're saying, how you interpret things, right? And one thing that can help people is to give them facts. And facts are something that cannot be questioned, okay? Russia's invasion of Ukraine was an illegal act that violated multiple different memorandums and agreements and statutes of the United Nations. It's a fact. There were no American biolabs. It's a fact, and things like that. But the problem is, you know, it's really hard to train informational I don't know how informational warrior, right? It takes years and a lot of resources, and in the end of the day, we all have different professions. The guy works at the factory, and he comes home in the evening. He wants to watch some news. He needs some facts, and he's not interested to check information. We are majority of us are information consumers rather than fact checkers, and it's natural. And in my opinion, the government and the state must do something to protect people against informational warfare, because again, in the end of the day, we have army to protect us against the enemy troops. We have police to protect us against terrorists and criminals, and we have to have some kind of government controlled or managed structure, some organization, some department to protect us against the informational warfare, because informational warfare is a combat activity. It's a military activity. It's part of the hybrid warfare that has military goals. So in my opinion, this is what we have to do, because we have a lot of, you know, like partisan organizations, fact checkers, fake debunkers, things like that. We have even a big, did you hear about this one? We have a big organization in the European Union that specifically fights misinformation. They have a website called, just Google it, EU versus disinformation, and you will find it. Did you ever hear about it?
I remember you and me having a private conversation how the EU's combating of disinformation or of it was sadly underfunded, and only in the past year they're actually starting to look at this and to do something about this. I remember us having this personal conversation. You might even have something to do with this, perhaps.
Who knows? But
Who knows?
you know, we are talking a lot about it, and
Starsky we trust.
recently it was in the news. I don't remember what kind of channel it was, but yeah, they were talking about the Russian misinformation and Russia's attempts to destabilize. Damn it! Where did I see that? Like literally today, I saw a video, and they were talking about Russians' attempts to destabilize countries, fund far-right isolationist movements in the United States, found far left and far right organizations in Europe and things like that. Because isolation is the best strategy the Russia can have regarding other countries.
Of course, splendid isolationism, the Americans called it um, before the First World War.
Yeah,
Splendid isolationism.
yeah. Um, so we have several commentaries. I would like to address them because they're important. Uh, yeah, first is a question from BatSM. Is there any group in Ukraine which provides medic training in English for volunteers? Do you know any?
I get this one a lot. I don't know anything about that. I do know that the Legion is in a restructuring program now that's been going on for a while. Um, if somebody joins the Legion, um, they can be given anywhere from a month to 3 months training in their chosen field. Um, but I don't know about any programs. I would advise that you come to Ukraine with skills in hand and four wheels.
Yeah,
That's
uh, we have a commentary from Ali. Ali posted this link to this organization we were talking about a minute ago. Um, and yeah, Thomas says people no longer trust in many institutions. And there is another commentary which is related to this one. Governments also lie and spread misinformation. So, how can you expect a government institution to fight misinformation? Who decides what is misinformation and what not? Uh, and again, it's like the reason I chose those commentaries because that's exactly what Russian um, informational warfare is aiming at. They're trying to sow discord, spread, the seeds of cynicism and distrust to governmental organizations because generally people don't trust anybody, right? Like everybody's trying to they believe that everybody's trying to like set them up and get their money and yada yada, which is like it's a normal position, right? But at the same time, uh, if you don't trust anybody, then there's nothing we can do to help you. So
no. Our politicians okay? Let's get rid of the elephant in the room. Trump and his Twitter account. You know that that was infamous. That was notorious. Um, but we've we as a society, our politicians are merely symptoms of us. They came from somewhere, right? Oh yeah, thanks one, Lisa. Yeah, Masa needs money. I'm actually just I'm a few thousand off for night vision. That's what my buy me a coffee goes for. It all goes to sit on in the Netherlands, so that that money will just accrue there. Thank you. I've noticed over the past couple of years. So I don't generally watch news networks. I what I came to because I'm an unashamed elitist. For the past 10 years, I've been a subscriber to The Economist. Now, you might disagree with The Economist, what they write. They claim to be a newspaper, but that only comes out every Friday. Okay, so a lot of those articles have had time to brew for a few days at least. Um, and I like that. Okay, so I'm behind. Oh, I didn't hear what was happening in South America or Asia, but no, neither did anybody else unless you looked for it. Okay, but those articles, that news had time to mature, um, and quite often politicians feel a pressure, either in competition with others, or they feel their constituents are demanding. If breaking news happens, they have to comment, and governments have to make decrees within a half hour. Um, Now, I think about this. I remember where I was during 9/11. I was in grade 10 in school. I joined the army shortly after, because you could still do that sort of thing without a high school education. Um, but I remember that night going home, and my auntie Jennifer, she's like, "Sit down with us. President Bush is addressing the world." And that was after, so like that was lunchtime at school, that I'm watching these planes hit the towers. I don't know when it would have been, like 8 o'clock at night. Then the president, he's gonna lay shit down, and he's gonna make a speech. But that had like 8 hours to mature, like the biggest event of the new millennium. Essentially changed. I would say Ukraine now, but many people would disagree, and they wouldn't be wrong. But before they came out with an official statement at the highest level, that had over 8 hours to mature. Um, and quite often we don't see that now with social media, whether the governments feel by their constituents, the mass media, that everybody has to get their news out first with limited facts. Um, and One thing I learned in crisis management in my life, I used to do, I come from a 12-step recovery program, if people know what that is. But I used to work, I used to volunteer um, with an addiction treatment center. And one thing we used to tell people, your thinking will be clearer in a minute, an hour, a day, a week. That quite often the hardest thing to do is to do nothing. And then if you can remain calm when others can't, if you can consult other people who have better knowledge or experience than you, that you could make better decisions, that maybe you could give better information in an hour, in maybe 2 hours. There's nothing wrong there. I think we're at this point that our people might even appreciate it, that the government, if something major happened, we will be making a statement in 1 hour. Yeah, okay. Somebody just blew up. Some people just blew up your trade center. Do you know what I mean? Shit's a little bit messed up. No one's having the highest expectations. Let them. Everybody remain calm. But that's not happening nowadays. People want it now, and this is this is just as much our fault as society as it is our politicians, and we're not being patient for the best information. We want something now, the same as our click and collect society. So this is when he says, why should we trust our own governments? They're only a reflection of us as a society, if you still believe in democracy.
Another thing is people got used to think that government is, like a separate structure. Government is not people, but like a structure that a department that is ruling people. Guys, government serves you, and government. Okay, I may be naive, but I've been a state's employee, okay, for 10 years almost, and government serves you. So this is something that you should always remember. And when government is bullshitting you, this government is doing wrong, okay? It's not supposed to be like that. Something is wrong and something has to be changed, okay? You have to demand to protect yourself. You have to demand this from government. You have to demand protection, because if government lets you protect yourself against, informational warfare, like just be smarter, read books, check information, check all the sources and things like that. Why don't they just, I don't know, give you weapons so you can protect yourself from criminals, things like that. It's you should remember that information can be used as weapon, and in majority of cases, it is used as weapon by terrorist regimes and totalitarian governments, because that's their weapon of choice. This is how they control their population and people outside. That's just my opinion. And
It's people's responsibility to educate themselves. How many people in your audience realize how much of the money of the 61 billion actually goes to Ukraine? Everybody in your audience, I'm willing to bet 90% of them knows, because I'll explain it in layman's terms really quick. Basically, it goes down the line from the Pentagon to every unit, from the National Guard to the Rangers, to everybody. They know what's on their balance sheet. I did this in the Army. I did this every year. Your unit had to go to the base or whatever, and I had to go with this old crusty sergeant one year, and we had to justify why we needed so many vehicles in our company, and it's like you had to fight for them. Do you know what I mean? And if you couldn't justify it, you had to give it back. So it's all a balance sheet, and every unit has to kick up for Ukraine. You must give a 155 howitzer. Okay, so that's up to the colonel or whoever what one Ukraine gets. So they get the oldest, shittiest one, okay, with the warped barrel, and an American commander gives that gun up, and then within 2 years, maybe 5 years, I don't know how slow things are running, you will get a brand new gun from an American producer made by an American worker. And all this ammunition that needs to be decommissioned, which costs more taxpayers' money, we can just send it to Ukraine. Budonov himself requested to the Canadian government, we have 80,000 rockets in storage from the 70s that are due to be decommissioned. I don't know whatever came of that, but that's, yes, okay, these ATACMs look very good, HIMARS look very good, but artillery shells is our bread and butter in Ukraine. And up until this date so far, I don't think we ever had a new artillery shell under 10 years old. It just didn't work that way. But we know this. You don't need Brandon Mitchell, who's not the smartest man in the world, who's not even really educated on these things, to explain this to you. But why do so many people believe that it's that? No, why do so many people are they hung up on that fact that we're going to take $61 billion and we're going to give it? Here you go, Kiev. Here's $61 billion. But so many people believe that.
yeah, they believe that those money are being just parachuted over like Kiev, Odessa, and parachuted is specifically over the houses of like rich people, okay, people
Yeah,
who, yeah, it's insane. But this is how they believe in things.
you could
Because
Google. You know what I mean? You could Google in 5 seconds, just like the same thing. How people message me, how do I join Hospitallers? Well, Google, and it'll tell you, sorry, we don't accept foreigners anymore because of this. But you could Google that. You don't have to write me. Google's an amazing thing, and it's so amazing. Like I'm learning new things all the time about Masa. Actually,
yeah, but
no, I watch Instagram dog videos. I don't actually Google any useful information about my dog.
and I have to tell you one thing. Actually, I believe 99% of my viewers know how those money are being spent, because they also watch people like Jake Bro, people like Ryan Macbeth. Yeah, our communities are so interconnected between the channels,
Not the ones who had 6 toes.
which in my opinion is great, because the more people we can unite around Ukraine, the more sources we can provide them with, the better. And also a lot of Ukrainian YouTubers have, and not only Ukrainian, but pro-Ukrainian YouTubers have a lot of initiatives, fundraisers for Ukrainian army and for Ukrainian civilians. This week, on Monday, I returned from Frankie and Koen's show from the Netherlands, and they also created a shelter for people. Um, so they found like a house. They did all the renovation and they created like a relief hotel, free of charge, of course, for refugees from the frontline cities who can just go there and just chill, just let everything go, have shower, have some warm food and things like that. Uh, so this is amazing, and there are so many people like that, and we all must talk about them, I think.
I think it's fantastic. Um, all the initiatives that people have taken in their own world, in their own capabilities. Um, the most humbling ones of all are the things where people didn't kid themselves. I don't mean to sound derogatory, like they didn't get out of their own lane. They did what they were good at naturally, and they found a way to transfer that into wartime. And that's not even Ukrainians. That's people all over Europe, all over America. Things that they have done. Um, it's somebody should write a book about it someday.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
uh, Bro, I think we should let people go. It's 23:41 here in Germany. I think it's the same situation in your country as well.
yeah.
Oh,
I got
oh,
my birthday this weekend. Masa and I are going away.
oh, and I think we have Jake, bro, also here in the chat.
Is Jake there?
Jake, hey, hello, hello, bro.
I want to thank you, Jake. If you're here, um, lately, I don't like to favor anybody in the YouTube community, um, but Jake has so I'm trying to find the right word. He's been so tenacious in covering the U.S. political landscape um, over the past few weeks, over the past few months. Um, he was my go-to source for all the happenings with the aid bill, which is essentially the greatest single factor in the war of this year for a long, long time. Um, and he was relentless with that. I don't watch much Ukraine news for my own mental health, but even I can acknowledge how important that was. And Jake stayed. He stuck to his guns and he stayed with that every day. And a lot of people appreciate that. But but now that that's done, I don't have to watch Jake Bro anymore. I can move on to Arthur and see. I'm like I move between you all. I'm like a bicycle. Do you know what I mean? I I go through Starsky phases. I go through Georgie's phases. But I love you, Jake. I need to watch more Georgie's because you never know what he's doing with his hair these days. It could be. Did you see Arthur Ray? He's rocking a tube. He's trying to rock a tube.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Looks kick-ass, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, but all jokes aside, I'm really grateful for particularly to Jake through these were very stressful times for all of us. Um, if the shells stop, we're out of business. But
Yeah.
thanks for covering that as you did, Jake.
Yeah, and I must also say big thanks to Jake for uh, standing for Ukraine all this time and supporting us with his videos and not only videos. Um, and to his audience, which is partially also my and your audience, our
Yeah,
viewers. Yeah, guys, I think it's a good time to say goodbye because it's kind of late. I believe you're also a bit. You look tired or old. Anyways, uh, so
here I'm
you
with you, Starsky. I'm almost there. You see, I'm rocking a comb over.
I don't have hair because I served not too far from Chernobyl. That's the biggest reason. Uh, so Guys, I think my bro has something to say to you before we say goodbye.
Jake, bro, or me?
You, bro.
Oh, yeah. I just want to thank everybody. I know a lot of your audience is also my audience. Um, I've I've really struggled since I've come back to Sweden. You and I talked today for 40 minutes, I think, on the phone. Uh, Sometimes I have to go speak at events at different levels of government and things. Like I never could have imagined this, and it's really really difficult. And I've been quite removed from YouTube between my studies and this NGO work. Like who would ever have me do this sort of stuff? But it's going okay. I will be releasing more things on YouTube as you've encouraged me, Starsky. But now I'm going to keep it. I will put out at least one video a week. Um, and I just want to thank everybody who continues to donate, continues to support. I keep showing where it goes and what we do. Um, Within the next month, I'm going to release some footage of some some drone work that I've done, and I've learned some things that I would like to share, particularly with NAFO people who uh, those locations no longer exist anymore because my editing's not very good. I'm not very good at blurring, but I've learned a lot of things that are very relevant, and I think we can be more efficient. So within the next month, I'm going to release a series of videos of our work in Luhansk and what I've learned, um, and how I think we can be more efficient for people that want to support the drone effort. I do believe that's important. I believe that's the most important thing that we can do as as individuals is support drones. So thanks for having me on again. I hope to see you personally in the next month or two, um, and I would like you to come to Sweden. Maybe you could come and help us with some of the events and the panels we do because you're respectable. I'm a scoundrel. So
Dear friends, if you wanna see me in Sweden together with Brandon, please let me know in the comments. I would love to go there. I've never been to Sweden. I like the colors of the flag, big time. Um, and
I'm
besides
going to
that,
see Arthur next month. Like the love's going all around. Georgie's blanked me last time I was in Denmark, but that's another thing. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, you're going to Denmark soon too, aren't you? Not to keep the show dragging on. You're gonna. Sorry to spoil it. You're gonna see you and Georgie's are gonna meet each other soon, aren't you?
yeah, we're not getting drunk, unfortunately, because I'm only drinking after the victory. But it's a good opportunity to see each other in the offline, something that I missed for years. Um, Guys, thank you so much for watching today's stream. And this is, guys, I'm saying thank you every single time, but it's very, very important to me specifically that you are still supporting my country and my people, and we will never forget your efforts and your support. Guys, we'll be saying goodnight, but we don't say goodbye. It was so cool to see my bro Brandon today, as well as Jake and Rick and all of the viewers. And one thing I wanted to say is, people, um, there are two kinds of most popular opinion makers. There are opinion makers and newsmakers that bring information that scares people, that is shocking, that is terrific, right? Terrifying. And this is probably the most efficient, the most efficient type of opinion makers. Then there are people who motivate, and despite all odds, despite despite the situation, despite all the evil, despite all the failures, all the problems, they keep motivating you regardless. They will always be with you. And it's, it reminds me of that story about two wolves, right? There are two wolves in each of us. There's a wolf that is evil, and there's a wolf that is good, and he incarnates like the joy and kindness, and they always fight, and which wolf wins this fight is the one that you feed. So guys, with that, I wish to, yes,
Masa? Masa, kom nu.
of course, Massa.
Masa wants to say goodbye. Hold on.
We demand Massa.
Kom till pappa. Sorry. Masa, du måste jobba nu. Masa wants, I'm sorry to do this to you, honey, but you've raised 20, 30 grand for Ukraine all by yourself. So,
bro, she's big. I mean,
she's not small. She's about 13.5 kilos.
Oh my God, she's bigger than Fuch, actually.
Yeah. She's quite dominant too, and she does have some male instincts in her. So when her and Futch get together, I think it's going to be, just to plug myself shamelessly, Moss's mom's given me permission. This summer we're going on an 800-kilometer hike, North Leidon, and that's going to be a fundraiser for butterfly ultrasounds with some of the doctors we're working together to do. So I'm going to shamelessly use Mossa because I don't do many medical fundraisers. I'm more into like either medical because I think that's better medical. But we've got some great support and backers, and yeah. So Mossa and I, we're going to put through a hiking series on YouTube again this summer. 800 kilometers in Sweden, Norway, and Finland.
Yeah, Massa is the wolf you gotta feed. Okay, guys. Heroям slava. And with that, we wish you a good night. As always, be safe, guys. Bye-bye.